Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz podcast.
Lane Kiffin going to join us in an hour. He says things.
He does.
I want to get into some of the things happening with football right now because it really is a marvel if you could step back and disattach and just view it as performance art. The idea that Vontaze Burfict, as bad a man as we have in the sport, notoriously dirty player, I've seen all week and just saw moments ago the video of him knocked unconscious with a hit that didn't used to be illegal but is illegal now. And did you guys notice, or did the cameras move away? But even though he's knocked out, he seems to still want to kind of be fighting, but he's not mentally there. So Vontaze Burfict is basically like the undead. It was like watching a zombie movie where the torso is still alive. Because he was groggy, but he turned over. He's unconscious or close to unconscious. Obviously not totally unconscious, right, but he's clearly not all there. And he, in his grogginess, he's still starting to fight. He's still trying to fight. It's like when you fight Mick Cronin.
Yes, I mean the fight's never over when you're fighting Mick Cronin.
He was out on his feet like a boxer.
Except he wasn't on his feet. He was on
trying
his back.
to get there.
But it reminded me of Bishop, Sigourney Weaver's friend in Alien, that gets sliced in half and just has entrails and he's still fighting the alien. Like that was perfect. And so I'm watching all this, and in the middle of it, like in the middle of that, okay, all of what that is, Roger Goodell, $40 million extension.
Yep.
And so the symbolism of it to me is great because you can't argue that the league is better off today than it was the last time Goodell signed one of these.
It'd be impossible to argue that, although towards the end of this first contract, maybe it's declined a bit, right? The last couple of years. But the league's in a better place overall.
No,
yes.
Is the league better than it was 6 years ago? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
You don't think the league's in a better place 6 years from the day he took over?
No,
you don't think there's more revenues coming in?
The league is not in a better place today than it was 6 years ago. How can you argue that it's in a better place today? It was at the height of its power 6 years ago without the scandals, without the concussions, without the violence, without any of the issues. It was just money, glory, purity, without the anthem protests.
Right. I think we're having a slight miscommunication here. What I said is over the body of the 6 years, I feel like the NFL's in a better place. The last 2 years, maybe you would think it's going the other way.
I don't believe that you can argue that Roger Goodell deserves a pay raise based on him doing his job in a way that leaves the league better off than when he started doing it. Like that, or the last time he signed one of these. Like he just got an enormous raise. Regardless, I think it's funny that all of it is happening in real time on your screens because one of the things that's interesting about this is the NFL is relentlessly good content. We're grateful for the NFL around here. You guys, the audience loves the NFL. Everybody's ratings are better during the NFL season. All of us, across the board, on television, here. They're an endless source of rich content. But what I wonder in private is when Roger Goodell is talking to these guys, does he elbow the other owners and go, like, watch what's happening this week in the news stream? Does he elbow them and isn't this great? Or is he wringing his hands, clutching rosary beads? This is so wrong that I've got these hits in my league. What is he doing behind the scenes? Because they keep selling us the NFL as something pure. They keep wanting from the patriotism to all of it. It's a pure thing. When I keep telling you, no, it's not. No, it's about as dirty as anything we've got in outside of porn, in entertainment. It's dirt. All of it's dirty. And so you got the frustration in the middle of it of Mike Mitchell. Now, I don't think many people know who this human being is on site, okay? But he became the voice for something yesterday. In the middle of all of this insanity, Goodell signing an extension, the Bengals and the Steelers played the most brutal, violent game we've seen all season, which used to be something we'd celebrate. And now, because we've evolved and the science has caught up, we're like, ooh, that's disturbing. But here's Mike Mitchell, and it's hard to argue with much of anything he's saying.
At the end of the day, this is football. If you want to see flag football, then let's take our pads off. That would make it easier for me, because now I don't got to wear heavy shit. But give us flags for me to pull off, because that way I know what we're playing. You know, I signed up to play full-speed contact football, and we're not doing that. I feel like I got to ask a guy, hey, are you ready for me to hit you right now before I hit you? And that's crazy. I'm going to mess around and get hurt trying to protect an offensive player because he's running an over route. Damn it, your quarterback shouldn't have threw that ball messed up. That happened 2 years ago. I'm not joking at all. Andy Dalton threw a ball to Tyler Eifert 2 years ago. Tyler Eifert had to dive for it. I was aiming for his gut. But if he don't dive, he don't get in the head. That's $50,000 out of my pocket, though, because Andy throws a bad ball. Make that make sense. And at first you're taking our money, but now, you know, I got like Matt Hasselbeck calling me a dirty player and trying my character, and we've never met before. I donate more money to Cincinnati underprivileged kids than probably the people on the Bengals. So don't give me that name. My nephew goes to school there, man. I take all that personally. If you don't know me, if you never had a conversation with me, don't judge us by what you see on football, because football is my competitive side. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so much going on in the game right now. Yes, obviously I'm a little flustered, but I mean, we just got to do better. We got to do better. I said it yesterday. We got to do better as players when we sign the next CBA. We got to get better leadership as who's running the league, because obviously everybody from fans, owners, players are all disappointed in Roger Goodell. We just got to do better. We can't have a guy where you just hand out discipline on how you see fit. There needs to be a set guideline of how we do what we do.
How could you disagree with any of that? Andy does throw a bad ball.
Well, I think Matt Hasselbeck might agree with something in there. Garen, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Who is right? Mike Mitchell or Hasselbeck? Like, has anyone got comment from Hasselbeck on Mike Mitchell calling him a bleep hole? Let's be the first to get comment from Hasselbeck.
All right.
I just loved all of that, and it's sort of where the league is. Here's where it is, Stugotz, and it's one of the things that's fascinating to me. They're never going to make it safe. I don't think they're even going to make it safer. Like, they're trying to make it safer.
Right.
But I think what they're actually doing is making it look like it's safer, because what Shazier experienced could have happened at any time in the history of football.
Right.
And so
they are teaching tackling techniques differently than they used to do.
But yes, agreed. Right. But I don't think that you can make violence safe. I think all you can aspire to is to make it safer, and you're going to fail. Like, they're going to keep trying to make this safer, but the human beings are too large. Did you see what happened with Herm Edwards yesterday, where he goes to Arizona State and he's looking at the uniform, and he's wondering while he looks at the uniform, Stugotz, because he comes from a man's league. And he's listen to this sound here. Listen to this sound. Courtesy of Sun Devil Athletics. Be careful with those devils. I'm a Christian.
The girls.
No, this is a game jersey. See how tight it is? Tight. Yeah, you can't.
What? You're not expected to put it on.
No. You're just gonna put on a mannequin in there.
This is a game jersey?
Yeah.
Bro, that's tight.
Technology, they don't have belts anymore. That's how tight they are.
You know, the technology, man, that thing stretches out, man, and then gets real tight, but it's crazy, isn't it? That's nice. He said little girl. No, little girl. A little kid's jersey.
I thought it was a girl's jersey.
I love people bringing Herm up to speed on what football's like today.
Well, I'm torn here on what are we going to do. Hold on a second. What are we going to do? You got Ben McAdoo. He's gone. His career's over. We can't make fun of him anymore. Jim Tomsula is, defensive line coach, which is where he should have always been. But thank you for coming out into the light and celebrating life with us with that great mustache of yours. But he's gone now, and so we need a new applicant for the throne. And so I think right now our best nominees are Herm Edwards. How about Doug Marrone? Doug Marrone, the Jacksonville coach, he's making a strong push here because Doug Marrone he seems odd.
I don't know if when they looked at it, they said, well, let's send him down to bologna to match his weight. And then I'd be offense to that, about 350. But I probably eat more bologna than anybody else in the world, though. I would say that. Who's my age?
Yeah, put it on the poll. Does Doug Marrone eat more bologna than anyone else in the world who's his age?
Bologna.
Dan Le Batard.
Stugatz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugatz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen, I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
Stugatz.
You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Something interesting I thought about, Stugatz, as it came to the Gronk suspension, because it doesn't really make any sense. If you're watching that Bengals-Steelers game, the reason the two guys got a game suspension there was because another dude in a different time in the game looked like he was paralyzed.
It was a violent game.
So it's how things look. It was a primetime game. It was a violent game. They didn't like how any of it looked, so they suspend a couple of guys for one game for doing football things. But I wonder this one, because you cannot argue that what Gronk did was the same or less than what happened on Monday night. What Gronk did was illegal and dirty by any standard in the history of the sport. That what Gronk did in giving that dude a concussion at that size and weight when he was prone and had his back to him is as dirty and cowardly as anything you've ever seen in the history of the sport.
Yep.
And so they gave him a game as well. And it made me wonder if they did that because the league can't look like, because it's compromised, it's again doing exaggerated things to the Patriots. That the league has botched things with the Patriots enough that they can't come down on Gronk excessively, even though what Gronk did was clearly excessive by any standard in the history of the sport.
So they're actually processing that. Hey, and is that a discussion that happens in league headquarters? Hey, we've been really harsh on the Patriots.
That's the question I'm asking you.
Let's just give them a game on this, even though it was terrible.
One game will allow everything. Again, this gets back to, I'm not sure if this league cares as much about how things are as this league cares about how things look.
Sure. I went to that's a fair place to go, and I'm not certain if it's right or not. No one is, obviously. I went to a conspiracy theory thought where, hey, we got this big Patriots-Steelers game coming up in 2 weeks. It's a primetime game, and we don't want Gronk to be out for that game.
Another one. But this is all this stuff, right? All this stuff that I wish we could get in 100% undistilled purity. Arthur Blank said of the Goodell negotiations, well, those were transparent, weren't they? Most transparent transaction in the history of the league. Man, I'd love for all their transactions to be that way.
Yes.
I would watch a show.
Yes.
I would watch a show on ESPN, an infraction show, where a bunch of guys are in a room deciding how these fines are actually sent out with honesty, though. How these fines and how this discipline comes down with honesty, where you hear in the background, can we really do this to the Patriots again? Can we hit Gronk with one of these symbol penalties that's going to make that entire fan base, which is already wearing to games that Barstool, Roger Goodell, clown nose T-shirt that even their defensive coordinator, Patricia, wears, even though he's a fraud with that pencil behind his ear and a laminated play sheet that wouldn't use a pencil.
Since they're making these punishments up as
You're laughing at your own joke there. I stole it from you.
I know you did. It's still funny. It doesn't matter, and you can have it.
Since they're making up these punishments as they go along, what I kind of thought happened with the Gronk thing was just the order of how it happened. They sort of played themselves because Gronk happened on a Sunday, the punishment was announced on a Monday, and then the Monday Nighter happened, and you can't give those guys 0 games for what happened, and you realize, shoot, if it were the other way around, we'd give Gronk 2.
Mike, I'm not kidding you that I would not have a problem with Gronk being charged for assault.
It was bad, man.
Like they do that sometimes in hockey when a guy is wielding a stick. They talk about pressing charges. Like, I'm telling you that what we saw Monday night might be to everyone's new sensibilities and delicate sensibilities. Now that we have science and information and all of us can evolve and understand the pain of the game. What you saw on Monday night was football in its purest form, how you fell in love with it.
Yep.
That's what you witnessed on Monday night. and now it's being penalized when it used to be celebrated. What Gronk did on Sunday has never been celebrated by anyone at any time. It's never been fair. It's never been legal. It was nothing but the dirtiest thing that brain concussed somebody in a way that caused trauma to their head and left them woozy.
He jumped him. If that happened in
he
Valley,
absolutely
he
did.
mugged him.
It was bad. Are you saying that would have been celebrated back in the 80s,
no,
90s?
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying the
anytime?
Monday night game is something that would have been celebrated any time that we've been watching football except for now.
Right.
What Gronk did is that would have never been on a big hits video.
No.
That never would have been sold on Jacked Up segment. Like nobody would have celebrated that. Hell, you guys all think I'm a player apologist, always defending the behavior of the players at every time and extending excuse and empathy at every turn, always telling you, well, rage doesn't work considering consequences. A rageful act. That was a temper tantrum by a polar bear. That's all it was. When you think, this is what makes it all the worse. When you think of his reasons for it, at least the plays you saw on Monday night were football plays. Gronk hit that dude that way because the guy pushed off to intercept the ball from him.
Right, because he's never gotten a call before. But the second he doesn't get a call, that's how he reacts.
What I'm saying is, like, it had the fact that the league just gave him the same penalty that it gives everyone else. I would love to know if there were, like, if we could have transparency in the NFL would never give it to you. But what I'm saying to you, my general overall thought on this entire spectacle of football is that if they embrace the dirty, and we're more honest about all of this, they could be a rebellious league that's dangerous, and I think we'd enjoy it more.
I'm certain we'd enjoy it more.
But I'm not sure if that's their customer base, because their customer base wants these players standing. Like the customer base treats this thing as sacred, even though I think this is Mad Max, man. Like, I think the football Sundays are Mad Max. It's the apocalypse. It's the apocalypse.
But you think there's been a shift in what the customer base wants, because there was a time not too long ago where and I still believe we're in that time where the customer base wants big hits. They want everyone to stand up, but they want to see big hits.
I just think it's a conflicting time in that sport, man, where they're at odds with who they are and who they want to be perceived as. Like, and these penalties, I'm telling you, Stugotz, that's a weird situation to have when you're not penalizing what things are. You're penalizing how they will look.
Right.
Say hello to my little friend.
Everything about Monday was optics, Stugotz. Everything. It wasn't about safety. It was about optics.
It was. You're right. Start to finish. It was just, there were a lot of injuries and obviously a really, really bad one, and it was a chippy, dirty game. But if that Bills player does that to Tom Brady, he's out for the season, is he not? And that's what makes it hard, man. It does. That's what makes it difficult to sift through. Because if he does that to Brady, he's done for the year.
I told you already, a congressional hearing. That Democratic law would fall. If someone did that to Brady, the rules of our country would change.
Dan Le Batard.
Do you go to the supermarket at all, Dan?
I do. I go to, yes, I do.
Whole Foods or something? Yeah, be better.
I have a lot of difficulty picturing Dan pushing his shopping cart.
Yeah, he's a handbasket guy.
Stugotz.
No way it's a cart.
Yeah, no.
There's no way it's a cart.
I'd be so shocked. I'd be less shocked if Dan was riding a burro.
No, if he goes shopping cart, he's at the front of it pulling it, not at the back of it.
Really?
If he's doing it, it's not the traditional way.
Right, he's not two hands. He's not two hands on the handle.
Yeah, he's in front of it and he's dragging it behind him.
Yeah, as he's picking out the stuff. Yeah.
I have Mike pushing the cart and Dan just going down the aisle.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Lane Kiffin will be there in a half hour, 11 a.m. Eastern. Here's your SportsCenter update. Roger Goodell has signed a 5-year contract extension to remain the commissioner of the NFL. It's worth $200 million. The University of Tennessee is finalizing a deal with Alabama defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt. And finally, in ancient Greece, tossing an apple to a girl was a traditional proposal of marriage. Catching it meant she accepted. What if she drops it?
Did you just make it aging Greece instead
I said ancient.
Did you? Okay.
I'm pretty certain I did.
Okay.
Ancient.
Okay, no problem.
That's not one of those words I struggle with.
Okay.
I could have said it that way, though. I have no idea. Ancient. I don't know. We'll play it back. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. What did she think about that? You toss her an apple because you want to marry that person, and she wants to marry you, but she drops the apple. What happens there?
Gotta go get a less clumsy partner.
Huh.
Better receiver.
How about the 5-second rule, though?
Oh, you can just pick it up. Well, yeah, if there's a 5-second rule, then it's no problem. So Lane Kiffin's going to join us in a half hour here. And Lane Kiffin, the last time he was on with us, said stuff. Somebody is writing in here. I'm wondering what Dan's response would be if a Gronk-type hit happened to Aaron Rodgers. Well, first of all, first thing, I'll take you through this exactly how this would happen. Okay? Because I'd be like Mick Cronin. I'd keep fighting long after my own death. But this is what would happen.
The fight's never over when you're fighting.
Thank you, Stugotz. That silence there was me waiting for that.
Well, I thought you had it. I mean, I thought you had the line by now. I've only said it 5 times. That's on me. I'm blaming you. And you know what? It's a fine.
Fault
it's a fine.
We were just sitting here staring at you, waiting for the line, and then you just...
you're right.
And you were lost in thoughts, like you were chewing your tongue. You were doing something on your computer. You weren't paying attention to the show.
I split my tongue right down the middle. It really hurts. And perhaps that's why I said ancient wrong. But let me see if I have some money, because I lashed out at you. I owe you some money. I don't have any today. I have no money today. You just spot me $1 if you don't.
You
mind.
didn't pull out.
You probably owe 10 from yesterday.
Did we agree that the fine is double if we reach into your pockets? Yes. All right. That is now, we've agreed to that. The fine is now double if you say that you don't have money and then we reach into your pocket and find cash.
Oh, I just found.
There's cash there. I just saw cash there.
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
There's 2.
Luckily there's 2. All right.
All right. So very good.
Paid up.
All right.
Excellent. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, Lane Kiffin's going to join us in a half hour. Lane Kiffin was already on with us, and here's some of what Lane Kiffin had to say last time he was on with us.
Friday night meetings, which are usually pretty casual, they're at the hotel the night before the game, so you have offense, defensive meetings, you're in separate rooms, and you have the players, and you just go over some plays and show them a film and, talk about the game the next day. They're in sweats, And I had a hat on. Well, I didn't know, that you weren't supposed to wear a hat in a meeting. I mean, I never heard of that. So he wasn't very happy that when I walked out of the meeting, he saw that I was wearing a hat. So he didn't like that. So I didn't get to wear a hat anymore.
So how does that conversation go?
That I can't say, especially because the lady you had on before said, make sure you know this is live. So you can't say anything.
Well, all right, can you bleep it out? Just use bleeps where you would use the word.
Yeah, use bleeps.
It would be rated R.
Well, use bleeps where the curses are.
Use bleeps where the curses are. Don't say any of the curses.
You won't understand it because I'd be like 9 out of the 10 words.
So Nick Saban told him to take his hat off during a meeting, and he didn't understand how it is or why it mattered that he was wearing a hat in a meeting. It's fairly unprecedented for a guy, not fairly unprecedented, it's unprecedented for a guy before the national championship game, for one of the guys in management to just, go away a week before the national championship. Think about that. It's the national bleeping championship game. Never mind about our offensive coordinator. Just go away. Get out of here.
Right. Shortly after Lane gave us that revelation about Nick Saban, his phone dropped, leading us to suspect that someone wasn't happy with it. But he called back, and he was playful about it.
So Lane Kiffin's with us on ESPN Radio, and I want to continue our conversation.
Sorry we got cut off. I had to take a call from Coach Saban. He was listening to us and didn't like it, so I had to get off. My bad.
I thought it was Florida State.
It was actually Tennessee.
He says stuff.
Does he say stuff because he is at FAU? Do you think Lane Kiffin could be this Lane Kiffin if he was at Alabama?
But he's at maximum Lane Kiffin because of where he is. He's at FAU and trying. Yes, he's maxing out Lane Kiffin, using social media, using the Remora fish on Saban. The best sound from that interview, you guys haven't even played it yet. It's when he's making fun of all the fire that there was in Tennessee when he left the Tennessee program and the things that he remembers. Can you give us the details that you specifically remember about your last night in Tennessee?
Things burning. I remember that. I remember a really big Fletcher Jones Mercedes private jet. on a runway and a cop car taking us to it and getting on. And next thing I knew, I was landing in Los Angeles, California, with my kids and wife. And we never went back to like the house or anything like that. Only went back 2 times when we ended up at Alabama, or we went back there to play road games at Knoxville Stadium to beat them really badly.
That last part. All right, Lane, you got to come on with us more often.
I was trying to score 1 point for everything they burned.
That is him. Just when I say Max Lane Kiffin, he added all that at the end. The question, that's when I realized, okay, we need to get this person on more, because what happened there is I asked him a question about what do you remember? His first answer is things burning, which is just a tremendous answer. But then he could just give you the details, but he's rubbing it in. Private jet, landing in Los Angeles, only visited 2 times, and he won't stop because he can't stop because he's Lane Kiffin. He don't stop and he won't stop.
The Lane train don't stop for anybody.
The Lane train is like one of those silent discos, except it's not silent. It's making fun of everybody.
I'll give you another example of what you're talking about. He was on with us, and you were asking him if he was eating something, and he even took that opportunity to take a shot at one of his former stops.
Are you eating lunch?
There's no doubt he's eating lunch.
What are you eating?
My son just gave me some fruit right here, so I had some pineapple.
Oh, so the sign of wealth.
Trying to lose some weight since I'm here in South Florida. I'm not in Alabama anymore.
Right.
Just took out Alabama.
He doesn't care.
You can be fat in Alabama. That's basically what Lane Kiffin said. So he's going to be on with us again in 20 minutes. Do you have yet more sound from him?
I have one more bite, because some of the younger listeners might just think of Lane Kiffin as a college football guy, but he was the youngest head coach in NFL history, I believe, and his boss was Cookie Al Davis at the very end of the Al Davis experience, and he had something to say about Al.
Give us as much as you've got on what you remember from that time and the film projector. Mortensen.
Just bad memories. I remember, I think he called me Lance instead of Lane. I think he said that. Lance Kiffin. I think he said, he's a liar.
I love that he did the Al Davis impersonation. He's a liar.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugats here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard. Stugats. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Mike, no joke. Right before the microphones came on here, Stugats was staring at the television, and he was arguing with a Joe Thomas tweet that was on the television. Joe Thomas wrote that Goodell is making twice as much as Tom Brady. Does that mean that Goodell is worth twice as much and twice as hard to replace as Tom Brady? And Stugats just yells at the television, "Oh, shut up and sit out.
Yep.
Sit out if it means so much to you. Bleeping Joe Thomas telling me your opinion. Sit out if it means so much to you over the collective bargaining agreement." Just shouting at the television.
I happen to agree with Joe Thomas, but do me a favor, okay? Next time the CBA rolls around, be ready to sit out and sit out for as long as it takes. Otherwise, your words ring hollow.
All right.
Because you talk a tough game right up until it's time to sit out, and then you don't sit out. Sit out and get what you want. You're more valuable than you think. Sit out. How about that?
So Les Miles with us now on. Yes, I'm sorry.
That is a major fine, man.
That's a $10.
Les Miles.
$10 fine.
That is no. The maximum fine I get for getting a name wrong is $5.
No, but you didn't get the first name right or the last name.
I know it's not Les Miles. I'm sorry.
You put a C note down, and that is fair.
Ed Orgeron joins us now on ESPN Radio. I'm sorry I did that, Lance. Lane, so I want to talk to you. Congratulations on.
I'm leaving now. I'm hanging up now.
I'm sorry. This has been.
I can't believe you called me Les Miles. Jeez Louise.
Is there a worse coach he could have called you?
You guys came to our game. We scored more points in the first quarter than Les Miles usually scores in a whole game.
Yeah.
So, come on.
Wait, what's the other coach he could have called you that would have insulted you more than Les Miles? Is there anyone?
Jerry Sandusky.
Oh, God. Wow, you went for the kill. Man, nice work by you, Lane. You threw a dead fish at us there. Lane Kiffin with us on ESPN.
Your guys' goal is to always, do the interview and, get the person rattled that you're interviewing and stump them. So I screwed it up. I went the other way.
You really did.
You did.
You forgot. You don't even know what questions you're going to ask now. You're so.
I am rattled, but I've been rattled since the beginning. When I somehow, why the hell did I call you Les Miles for some reason?
Gosh.
Yes. Anyway, who are you playing? What is Akron? What is their nickname?
I learned yesterday they're the Zips. We had a press conference with their head coaches, Coach Bowden, by the way. And I learned at the press conference that some Zips has to do with it's a kangaroo, I don't know, 5 animals or something. I couldn't understand the whole thing.
Okay, it doesn't sound like you learned anything, Lane. It doesn't sound like you learned anything.
I was confused because I'm there's kangaroos in Akron? I think Akron's in Ohio. How are you nicknamed after a team that you don't have anything that lives in the state? And he said, are there elephants in Alabama? I said, good point. Very good point.
Wow.
It is a fair point.
Sounds like a hell of a press conference. Sounds like you guys, you and the Akron coach were really throwing haymakers.
Yes. No, it was in good fun, but it was a really good point. There aren't really red elephants in Alabama. Or there probably aren't even red elephants that exist, period. But maybe there are.
What would happen right now if you were to call Nick Saban or Nick Saban were to call you? Does that ever happen? Is there any reason for that?
Coach Saban's not a big, call people, he's just not going to call and check in or, that's just not how he is. So, those calls really wouldn't happen. It would have to be something about business.
And does he reach out to you ever at all about business?
No. I guess if he needs something, right? Or if he hears something when you're teasing him, and you told us this last week, he doesn't even know that it's happening. None of this is getting back to him when you're teasing him on Twitter. Nothing. He thinks you and him are good, even though a week before the national championship game, he sent you away.
Well, he's getting me back because they showed me the coaches poll yesterday, the top 25 poll, where we got half the people voted for us or something like that in the USA Today, and they showed all the coaches, and Nick Saban did not put Florida Atlantic in the top 25. So. Maybe he's paying us back.
Oh, wow.
So wait a minute. So Florida Atlantic got half of the coaches said that you should be in the top 25?
I don't know if it was half. I didn't look through the whole thing. My dad was actually looking at it, put it on my desk, and he was circling all the guys that voted for us. He's like, good guy, good guy, good guy, circling all these guys.
Wait a minute.
Dan Mullen. He's like, Dan Mullen voted for us. I saw there's a bunch of guys voted for us. He's like, good guy, good guy, good guy. And then he circled Nick Saban, and he goes, thanks a lot, Nick. That was his comment on that. I almost put it on Twitter.
Why didn't you?
Why didn't you?
That.
Come on.
Do it right now. Do it with us right now. We'll do it with you. Let's go and figure out how to do that with Lane during the break so that we can increase his social media following because people need more Lane Kiffin in their life.
Lane, did Alabama deserve to get into the college football playoff?
That's a good question. It depends on what. And that's what I've never understood. I wish they would explain. And I think they purposely don't explain it so that everyone spends all week talking about it. The first week that it's released, fans, everybody, it means nothing when it first comes out, but all they do is all week talk about it. And I think it's so great. It doesn't matter if you win a conference. Doesn't matter if you started good or finished good, like margin of victory, like I feel like there's no explanation. And if it does mean, okay, yeah, it does matter that you don't win your division, then no, Alabama shouldn't be in or their conference. Alabama not only didn't win their conference, they didn't win their division. So if that is a big criteria to win your conference, how do you put someone in that didn't win their division even, and the team they lost to turns around and doesn't win the conference? So that part's confusing to me. Now, if it is plain and simple, which we probably should be, the 4 best football teams, who are the 4 best teams that, if you had playoff, who do you think would last the longest and get to the Final Four? Yes, Alabama is one of the best 4 football teams by far. So then, yes, they should be in.
But they did explain it. The committee explains. You can't have a 31-point loss to Iowa, unranked Iowa, on your.
Yeah, but that changes, Dan. Like last year, winning the conference, winning your conference.
I know,
important,
that was the. It's not that there was an absence of an explanation. It's that Lane rejects the explanation, which is fine. He can reject the explanation.
No, but it changes. And again, here we go. I'll get criticized for this because I'm criticizing the committee, whether I'm not. I'm just saying you can say there's explanation, but like he just said, listen to the explanation and listen to it over the years. You'll be more confused than if you don't listen at all. You'll end up more confused listening to it because it changes. Because there's nothing wrong with it. What do? They pick them, and then what's their explanation going to do? It's going to justify who they picked and why they picked. So to me, it's just confusing.
Lane Kiffin with us on ESPN Radio. When you watch Alabama play, to me the marvel of this run that Alabama has had is that they've been able to win this way without a top-notch quarterback, that the quarterback hasn't mattered. And so I'm just curious, when you guys were playing against other teams, did you know, man, we're so much better than these people, like even in the SEC?
The first part you said Alabama is one without a top-notch quarterback? Is that what you're saying? Or they haven't played one?
Yeah, well, no. They had A.J. McCarron, but over the course of that entire time, they didn't have like a pro prospect at quarterback. Right. You've got a lot of serviceable quarterbacks that coaches do good things with, but they're just collegiate quarterbacks, that the quarterback doesn't matter on the route to the championship that much.
Yeah, I would say you got to look at something, though. Yes, have they had, I think AJ was picked, but, not a first-rounder. And, we had Blake Sims, Jake Coker, and they were not picked at all. But you got to remember, where your quarterback's drafted in the National Football League does not necessarily mean that he's the best college quarterbacks. It's a whole different criteria. I mean, because of the rules and the run-pass options and linemen downfield, and you run the quarterback so much more in college, you can have a guy like Sims, for us, we was, whatever that was, the SEC championship MVP, I think, or something like that, and led the conference, has total records for the history of the school, all that. Well, Blake Sims didn't get drafted because he's like 5'11" and a half. Well, that doesn't matter as much in college football, and he's got great feet. He'd been a receiver,
all right, Lane, I'm going to stop you right there, even though your information is good and your knowledge is good. But that's not why we have Lane Kiffin on to defend his quarterbacks at Alabama. I'm
not. I'm saying the point is, don't just because a guy's an NFL prospect doesn't mean he's a great.
I got it. But answer my question: when you went into those meetings and you're watching the film, are you saying to yourself, "Man, our players are a lot better than theirs"?
Yeah. Oh no, warm-ups. Go for warm-ups. Watch Alabama in warm-ups, especially defensively, and I used to just kind of look over and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, look at the defensive line and the outside linebackers. Outside linebackers were doing drills, and I was like, there's 2 guys over there that don't even play. They're on our service team, and they look better than every player on the other side of the other team. So, it's ridiculous. And that's not, when I say that, people are going to say, okay, he's discrediting Nick Saban's coaching. No, I'm not. I'm saying every game he lines up, he has the better players every single time, including national championship. Look at the draft. Look at how many players were drafted out Alabama versus Clemson. He had way better players than Clemson. So, but that's not a shot at coaching. That's because he's the best recruiter in the world. So those players didn't just show up there. He got them there. So he's the best recruiter in the world. He finds a way he gets guys to come there when they know they're not going to play for a few years. Or he just got a guy this last year, a top 100 player, to gray shirt, to not sign on signing day. That's unheard of. So that's because he's the best recruiter in the country. So he has the best players by far every time that ball is kicked.
We're going to talk to you again next week, okay? I love having you in our lives. I'm sorry I
Yes.
called you less at the beginning of this.
That's okay. You
Right.
did call me Ed Ogeron, and that's okay. I love Ogeron.
Right.
So
We got a little
I appreciate
feisty
that.
with you
Better.
during one of
Good
your
guy.
answers,
Ed
too,
Ogeron,
yeah.
circle him. Good guy. Good guy. Who else are the good guys? In fact, let's just do this. Can I do this real quick with you? Let me just give you some coaches and you just tell me if you circle it as a good guy or you just keep it moving, okay?
Okay.
So you already said Ed Orgeron. We'll start with an easy one. Ed
Great
Orgeron.
guy.
Okay, great guy. James Franklin. Or do you want me to stay in the conference?
Don't know him that well. Wasn't a big fan of when he brought brownies and cookies to the ESPN College game day crew at the end of the show, but that's a different story.
Jimbo Fisher.
I have not that I'm anybody. He's a lot better coach than me. I was just on another radio show earlier, and I just don't know how you can leave a team at the end of the year. I don't understand when there's a game to play. You know, coaches got to make decisions, and they leave. I left a place before I get that, but you still got a game to play. Like that part blows my mind away. You know, I've never even told a story. I had an offer, so I'm not going to say where. I was at the Raiders, and I had an offer during the year with some games left to go to a very prominent place, and I said, no, I'm not leaving these players. You know, they weren't any good, but I'm not leaving these players to go take a job. And so I just don't understand that. You know, Bobby Petrino got murdered for doing what he did, so that just threw me off. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It was quite the rant. I also love that you are our college football correspondent, and you're saying I hate when coaches leave a team before it's over, and that you're the only one I can say, yeah, you get kicked out before the national championship game. You don't leave. They got to kick you out the door a few days beforehand.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
All right. No, I will next week.
I want to play this game some more.
I will next week. I want to play that game some more. All right. You play the game some more, too. Okay.
All right. Just quickly, Urban Meyer.
This will shock you. Great guy.
Oh, all right. Jim Harbaugh.
Very bizarre, but I like Jim. I told him this when he was here. I like Jim because, like me, he really doesn't care one single bit what you guys think. So I like that he does the best things that he thinks for his program, even though if I was looking that bad with no tan, I wouldn't have taken my shirt off. But other than that, I think what he does, a lot of stuff's really good.
All right, we're going to talk to you again next week.
Right.
Thanks for making time for us, Lane.
All right, guys, have a good week. Thanks.
Thanks, Lane.
Time to justify our unreasonable salaries.
It shouldn't be as rare as he is. It shouldn't be as rare as he is.
Dan Le Batard.
Man, I hope the future looks like whatever Elon Musk is imagining.
Imagining is the right word because he ain't doing anything. He's just thinking about it.
I don't think it's fair to say he's not doing anything.
What's he doing? I mean,
Stugats.
seriously, what does he produce, though?
Tesla?
Well, besides that, the ideas are great. The ideas are great. Great ideas. The execution.
I mean, of course, because they've never been done before.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Warren Moon has been accused of sexual harassment and sexual battery by a female employee of his sports marketing firm and will take a leave of absence from his role on the Seattle Seahawks radio broadcast. Derrick Rose apologized to his teammates for his 2-week absence and referenced frustration with his left ankle injury as the cause. What a strange dude. And finally, ketchup was used to treat diarrhea and indigestion in the 1830s. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
What a strange dude. That's something that just came out of your mouth. What a strange dude.
Yeah, I mean, you play basketball for a living, and a lot of people get ankle injuries, and they don't leave their team and disconnect themselves from their team in a way that's odd to me. I mean, who does that? Derrick Rose does it. Not once, but twice now, where he's gone missing, and then he ends up apologizing. He's getting paid a lot of money still. And he goes missing for a couple of weeks. No one can find him. People are concerned about him. And then he comes back, hey, sorry, I was frustrated about my ankle. You're an athlete. How about stop apologizing and just play basketball? I'm so tired of Derrick Rose. I really am. You know what? If you want to be around to see your kids graduate and walk down the aisle, then quit right now. But do me a favor. Stop quitting on your team in the middle of the season because you twisted an ankle. And you go disappearing, and LeBron James, who cares deeply about you, can't find you. And no one's having any communication. People are concerned, and then you come back and simply, hey, I'm sorry. What are you sorry? If I leave here for 2 weeks and don't come back, I'm getting fired, man. I can't just say, hey, sorry, rolled an ankle, and I continue playing.
I mean, Roy did that last week.
Yeah. It's a good point. Say sorry.
Roy had a baby, but he just disappeared. And we found out he was having a baby because we're like, Roy, any particular reason you didn't come into work today?
All right. But you don't find Derrick Rose to be a bit, like, there's some crazy in those eyes, and I find them to be a little bit odd.
Okay. This is why I thought it was funny that you went naturally, organically in that sports flash to calling somebody else a strange dude, because I was about to chronicle with 100% accuracy every word that you spoke during the break, and I'm going to begin doing that now because this is exactly how it happened, and I want to show everybody. I was writing during the break. I was just writing as you wandered around. I was watching you and writing down the things you said, so I am now going to repeat them to you. Are you ready? Because this was the order they were in.
Okay, because I have no idea what I said. I just let it fly during the breaks.
So during the breaks, he just gets up from his seat because we all get a private show, and he announces it's a scam. And so we don't know what he's talking about. We weren't having a conversation with him. Everybody was buried in their own things. It's a scam. Next thing you hear, this Bezos guy is involved with the Russia-Trump thing, the hacking. He's involved with everything. Zuckerberg too. I don't remember which one you said. That's not me getting the name wrong.
That's a fun. I said Zuckerberg, clearly.
And then the next thing you said, right? Dollar. That's just sitting there. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding when I say what I'm about to say. So he gives us that. The whole thing, that's what we get. The Russia hacking, Bezos, everyone's in on it. It's a scam. The next thing you get is, so Billy, you tell me, Matt Harvey versus Kurt Schilling. If I make Kurt Schilling the starter in an old timers league on Stanton's team, and I have him going against Matt Harvey, and so I got Palmeiro out there, I got A-Rod out there, I got a bunch of old timers. You're not going to see that? Matt Harvey versus Kurt Schilling on Giancarlo Stanton's team.
I'm all in. I think Billy is as well. What I want to do for the Marlins, because they've given this ultimatum to Stanton, hey, either you accept one of these trades because he has a no trade, or we're going to keep you and trade everyone else. I would stand pat if I'm Stanton and say, go ahead, trade everyone else. And then if I'm the Marlins, I surround Stanton with Palmeiro and guys like that. That'd be a fun team. People would watch that. Both the fans down here and fans on the road. People would go out to see Palmeiro, Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, and Stanton.
That'd
be fun.
Did any of you guys find strange the way that happened in the back room, where Stugatz goes from one thing, announcing some conspiracy that he's found, it's all a scam, and he just comes in and he's yelling about this and that, to segue seamlessly. He never said another word. There were no words of transition in there between him announcing that and then going straight to whether or not this traveling old timers team would do well.
It all started, actually, and you missed the beginning of it, with him ripping Tesla again, and then he went into it's all a scam about something else, and then Bezos.
What were you ripping Tesla about again?
Well, Anheuser-Busch, whose stock is soaring today, and so is Tesla's. The reason Tesla's is soaring is because Anheuser-Busch has purchased 40 semis from Tesla, and I'm just thinking they'll be there in the year 2052, and by that time we'll all be living on Mars. I mean, this guy, get something done already. Let's go. And he's in on this whole thing, too.
Well, we're not going to be living on Mars unless he gets us there.
Oh, you think he's going to be the one responsible? I mean, he keeps talking about life on Mars, and yet we're still living on Earth. I mean, let's get to Mars already.
So you think Elon Musk is kind of like LeVar Ball? I'll promise you something in 7 months and just take your money now. You think?
Bingo. Yep. And the other reason I was talking about the scam is this whole, this new tax code that's been accepted. I mean, it benefits. These are the companies that it benefits the most. They're going to save billions of dollars.
No, the starting point on this, was Stugatz saw rich people getting tax breaks, and that is where that started. I didn't realize that there was a starting point. I just thought it was him getting up and saying it's a scam.
Starting point is usually money, Dan.
Right. I'm dead serious about Stugatz's idea. While I know it's ridiculous, would you not like to see it? The idea, if This is the situation the Marlins are in with the MVP of the league. They have told him, you either accept our terms on a trade and go to a city you don't want to go to, or if you demand to exercise your contractual no-trade clause, we will strip down the team entirely and you will be out there by yourself with a bunch of couponed clipping players. And Stugotz is saying, if you're going to dump the season like that anyway,
right?
Why not just put kind of moderately interesting people at each position and treat it yet more like it's not a competition and it's just a Miami event, no matter how absurd it is? Because I'm telling you, if I would like to see Barry Bonds play another major league season at this age.
So would I.
Because it's asinine. You're trying to develop young talent so you don't have to be a sideshow.
They can develop it in the minor leagues. If they're going to run their business this cheap, then just make it the P.T. Barnum thing.
Right.
Like, if you're going to run it this cheap, you're not actually... Yes, you're trying to develop young players for the future, but you're not trying to win now. Make it now some sort of absurd PR stunt. If Stanton's going to nuke you by saying, I exercise my no-trade clause, I think that'd be uproariously funny. Nobody would do it that way. I know what I'm saying is absurd as an idea, but I'm trying to get you to think outside of the construct. It's more interesting than what they're going to put on the field next year.
I'd be more likely to go see him play a game,
Mike.
If you're telling me Sosa's roaming the outfield with Stanton, I'm there.
There you go. And it wouldn't even be Sammy Sosa. It would be the new incarnation, Sam Sosa.
Yep.
Sam Sosa.
I'm not debating that it'd be more interesting. I'd probably make it out to a game to see all the guys that played baseball back when I used to watch it. But if you're throwing away a season, you might as well give young players a look.
No.
Give old players
the A's can do that. Let the A's do that.
Yeah.
No. My problem is pitching. These old guy pitchers aren't. I mean, we're going to have an offensive problem with this team.
Charlie Huff could still give you 8, man.
Don Le Batard.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
Stugotz.
No, he's an embarrassment, man. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him, because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. And I'm still going to crush them even though they won.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Something interesting just happened on the television here. By the way, right now on the television, the Browns have fired Vice President Sashi Brown. So the Browns here are in the middle of total chaos, another winless season. This parade is off the ground. Darren Ravel is reporting that Excedrin has put in the last $7,000 to make this parade happen if the Browns go 0-16.
That is such a smart and great sponsorship right there.
Yes.
Excedrin medication.
That's right. They just got their advertising right now. Right, they're $7,000 worth right now, with just us saying, "Look, they funded the last part of this parade that will happen." We tried to do it last year, and the Browns betrayed us at the end. They can't even do losing totally right. They can't even do utter incompetence and failure and embarrassing totally right. And so now they've gone in a different direction while keeping their coach. They've gotten rid of their executive vice president. But right before that on television, guys, I want to ask you something here because I'm curious what the shipping container thinks of this as well. I am not somebody, okay, who believes that my sensibilities are the right sensibilities. I know I'm a little bit of a weirdo. But what I just saw on the television is Randy Moss was sitting in a chair, and it looked like he was being interviewed. And I looked up at the screen and thought to myself, I would like to be doing that interview with Randy Moss, or I would like to talk to Randy Moss or hear him interviewed in a way that's totally honest, because I found him to be, as an athlete during his time, really mesmerizing, hypnotizing, and just the way he was. And then what happened is the camera panned out, and I realized that it wasn't Randy Moss being interviewed. It was Randy Moss interviewing Case Keenum. And I'm looking at that. And again, I say on the front end of this, I'm not saying my sensibilities are right. And I understand that my sensibilities aren't necessarily ESPN's or palatable to many people around this. But my response to that was to retreat and be like, oh, I don't want to watch that at all.
Right.
I don't want to watch Randy Moss interview. Like, I know Case Keenum's not going to say anything.
Sure.
anything.
Right.
And so the construct is we're going to send a former Viking into Minnesota and we're going to have him sit down and it'll be nice to have Randy Moss talking to Case Keenum. And I'm like, well, you've got the interesting guy who might actually say stuff,
right,
but isn't an interviewer, asking Case Keenum questions, who's there in disguise, not wanting to reveal anything about himself in any meaningful way, the way quarterbacks and coaches always do in public.
My guess is the way they got access to Case Keenum in a sit-down is through Randy Moss, because he knows all the guys in the media relations department there. So I'm just wondering, I don't know. You're probably right. But maybe Randy Moss can get the most out of a player more so than us.
Well, that's
or
part.
More,
no,
than anyone else doing
and that happens. That the first times that was done, that is what exactly was happening. Where you see a jocularity, you want to hear from both people. It's not just someone being a reporter, but that's not Randy Moss's skill set. And by the way, I say all of this not even having heard the interview. So my observations about this aren't fully formed. It was just something that came on the television right now, and it fooled me. Because I was looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I'd like to hear Randy Moss interviewed in an honest way. I've wanted to talk to Randy Moss on air since we've gotten to the network.
I've had similar situations. I've had the same reaction to you where, like, I think when Marino was at CBS, he interviewed Peyton Manning. And I'm like, whoa, that's not, like, I don't want to see that. There's no way that's going to be good. I mean.
But I think the star power and the fame and seeing those two guys interact on television, this is what I'm asking you, because I don't want this to sound like criticism, because this is just something that I'm looking at my antenna.
Sure.
With my antenna. I want to ask the audience, if I tell you Randy Moss is talking on television, do you want to hear him interviewed or do you want to hear him interview?
I probably want to hear him interviewed, but that's not fair to Randy. And I know you're not being unfair to Randy. I don't know if he's any good at this or not. I have no idea.
This has nothing to do with
like
the
if
content.
Moss sat down with Brady, he had a year with Brady, maybe his best year with Brady. I'd be interested in that. If he can get it to a place where it's conversational and making fun of each other, stuff like that, then yeah, I'd be in on that.
This is more of a hypothetical because you're making me pick either or, when the answer is he does both. If you want to see Randy Moss get interviewed, there's an entire pregame show on Sunday, and as part of that pregame show, they also send him out doing other things, so you're not just bored of him getting interviewed.
Oh no, but I don't want to. No. I don't want him interviewed about today's football. I want him interviewed about his life and his career. Like sure. I don't want. This is one of my issues in general with the analysis across sports. Is I don't want to hear what Chris Sims actually has to say about what his top 70 ranked quarterbacks are. I want Chris Sims to be talking about what his experience was in the NFL, his life in the NFL, and what it was like to have your spleen explode and think that you were going to die on the field.
I want to hear the quarterback rankings.
Are we certain this was Case Keenum and not Adam Thielen? Because I know he interviewed Adam Thielen.
No. Oh, wow.
Oh, I wasn't. You know what? I was half paying attention, so it might have been Adam Thielen. That's actually funny.
Major fun.
You know, wait, no, hold on a second. Hold on. This is great.
I mean, we did a whole segment on this.
That's great. That is great.
Vikings receiver interviewing a great Vikings receiver.
How great is this? How great is this? The reason that I thought it was Keenum is because he looked like he had a bloated face. No. That's not what happened there. That is not what happened there. I don't think all white people look the same.
Sure, it was the bloated face.
Was it Thielen? Was it indeed Thielen and not Case Keenum? Because this is what I saw. I saw a bloated face. I know what Thielen looks like, man. He's fit. Case Keenum looked like he had a bloated face.
Yeah, it was Thielen.
Did Thielen have a lot of sodium before he did that interview?
It was Thielen.
And for the love of God.
The reason why Randy Moss is doing that, because they're naturally receivers and there's a Vikings tie-in, and now it makes more sense.
Yeah. Wow.
Mother.
I'll have to think about this. I don't know what the fine is for that. I mean,
there is no fine for
you botched an entire segment.
I can't believe what is happening around here. This hour, I introduced Lane Kiffin as Les Miles. Like, you guys need to start worrying about me. Everybody here and everybody within the sound of my voice has to start worrying about me.
Going on for years. I mean,
you had an entire suey category this year.
You've never had that.
We're
before.
beyond
This
starting.
is unbelievable.
You never made mistakes.
I am becoming Mike Francesa. Like, what's going to happen is somebody's going to troll me by making a call about whether or not I think I can manage the Yankees, and I'm going to go in there and say yes.
Mike thought Tim Hardaway Jr. was on the Giants the other day.
Francesa?
Yes.
No.
I sent it to Dan.
No.
That's the path I'm headed on. I am on the fast track, man. I am riding the Les Miles train on the
At least he got the juniors mixed up. I can understand that. What Dan just did, it was just white guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's a fair accusation. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't know what Case Keenum looks like.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don Le Batard. The Dolphins drafted Tunsil, played him at guard, let go of Brandon Albert, who was bought to replace Chris Long, who was taken with the number one. Up. Damn it.
Jake Long.
Damn it.
It's all right, man.
Cost me $1.
Stugotz. That's pretty egregious. I don't know. Should have just
It's his brother. Well, how is that egregious?
That's super egregious because they are not related.
Wow. That's a $5 fine right there.
Okay.
Right out of the gates.
Chris Long?
You confused Chris Long
and
with
Howie,
the offensive lineman from Chicago. That's actually his brother.
So the correction made it worse. I should have just shut up.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We're going to get to some fairly amazing sound here in a second. It is, right, Stugats? You and I were talking about during the break. The sound itself isn't amazing. What is being said here, given what we've been through on this story, is fairly amazing.
Yeah, we're not overselling this. It is, I wouldn't even say fairly amazing. It is completely amazing and insane.
All right, so here is Brian Cashman, the general manager of the New York Yankees, on the Michael Kay show. He is talking about Alex Rodriguez and whether or not Alex Rodriguez was considered as manager for the Yankees. And Which is it's an insane question. It's an insane question.
Michael Kay flat out asked him, "Did you ever consider A-Rod for? Did you talk to A-Rod about being the next Yankees manager?"
No more. We can't give any more. Let's just play this out.
I reached out to Alex. The first phase of this process was putting together a preliminary potential list. So I did reach out to Alex and ask him if he had any ideas, and any suggestions and things of that nature. And he never volunteered himself. And believe me, I got a lot of people that reached out and asked to be considered. And, you couldn't interview everybody. And over, engaging Alex on a few occasions, obviously not once did he volunteer like he might have an interest in this. And, I heard from other people that he wouldn't be interested in it. Certainly, he did not provide, that opportunity that he wanted to be considered. So,
the look on
what world am I living in?
It sounds like he could have been manager if he wanted to be.
It's like Cashman's like, well, he didn't bring it up, and I didn't want to insult him by offering him the job. Like, these people were fighting over his salary and banned him from the sport for a year. And now he dates J-Lo and everybody wants him back. And, hey, I know Brian Cashman is the single most powerful voice you've heard in the Yankee organization. And when he needs advice, where does he go? What? Wait, what? Weren't they fighting in the press for like 2 years?
They did not like each other.
Over his salary and over whether or not he should ever be allowed to play for the Yankees again?
Cashman took so many shots, passive-aggressive shots.
No, and aggressive shots.
They forced him out 2 years ago. He didn't get to really retire.
What?
How?
What?
They announced he wasn't playing anymore.
I don't understand. What would be the comparable? Okay, again, We've never seen a public scandal quite like that one in the sport. Like Pedro Gomez was chasing that greasy Anthony Bosch through parking lots.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's the Miami clinics. Like everybody discovered that all we've got down here are places that will sell you pharmaceutical drugs, youth enhancements, penile enhancements. We'll put some concrete fix-a-flat in your butt if you want to have a larger butt. And also, if you want to get a bunch of steroids and, have a lot of home runs, we're the place to go. And then they run him out of the sport. Everyone howling, his name in disgrace. He goes from that sweater interview with Peter Gammons that was stiff to all sorts of apologies all over the place.
They're paying him to not play this year.
Rich, of course. How much? $27 million?
I think a little less, 24.
Yeah, well, I guess they might as well get something for their money.
It's consultant.
I guess that's his consulting fee. That when Cashman needs advice, he checks in with A-Rod.
Oh, I would have loved to have heard that negotiation about his salary as manager. Well, we already got you on the books for $27 million this year, Alex. How much more do you want?
Alex, we're already paying you. We're looking to cut costs. Would you mind just doing this for us? You'll be the highest. People will pay you 3 times more than Belichick.
How did A-Rod arrive here?
Right. That again, I think I answered this before with the.
I can't come up with a good comparable.
I mean, I'm speechless.
If Lane Kiffin
I'm
ended
trying to say things, and I don't understand this story. Like this isn't Aaron Boone calling Alex Rodriguez for advice. This is the top power in the Yankee organization who was feuding with A-Rod and trying to get him banned from the sport. Just call him, hey, A-Rod, who should our manager be? Any suggestions? Calling him multiple times.
Yep. Wondering why A-Rod is not offering up his services.
I feel like those 10 years that I was watching A-Rod's name go down in flames, like they never happened.
Hey, Alex, it's Brian. Really need an answer here. I don't even know if you're interested. Would like to move on with this stuff. You call back when you can. He's desperate. He's desperate to hear back from Alex.
Would have been the right hire.
Well, can someone explain this to me, though? What would be the comparable, right? Because I don't want to go off into serious actual crimes like Ray Carruth and O.J. Simpson, but what would be the comparable what position would I have to give someone like Barry Bonds or Lance Armstrong for you to be like, wait a minute, what?
Well, is it Pete Rose? Is it Pete Rose? Give Pete Rose a Hall of Fame vote, a texter is saying.
I
don't know.
I thought you were really mad at this guy.
Yeah, I guess if Lane Kiffin ended up back at Tennessee, that would kind of be comparable. We are kind of seeing it right now in Cleveland, where everybody was kicking Josh Gordon when he was down. The comments that they had were kind of shocking and dismissive, and he shows up and he's their starter, and everybody's glowing about him.
Look.
But Josh Gordon can still do things on the field that will, have fans forgive what he did in years past.
Yeah, but look
A-Rod,
back, they flatly said he was done with the organization.
Right, I guess, yeah.
Speaking of Josh Gordon, would like to take a moment here, because I know people only talk about the Cleveland Browns to make fun of the Cleveland Browns. But I would like to marvel for a moment at the season Josh Gordon had for the Cleveland Browns, while high all the time with those quarterbacks.
It's pretty amazing.
He led the league in receiving for the Cleveland bleeping Browns when he was the only player they had. And who were the quarterbacks on that team? I wonder what kind. Was it just Whedon? It was Whedon and somebody else.
Whedon is where he did most of his damage with, which is just absurd.
I want people to, Mike, you look up the quarterbacks, but I want people to understand what Dan is saying here, because he only did it in 14 games. 14 games on the Cleveland Browns.
Listen to what I'm saying here, okay? I saw Randy Moss is the greatest receiver I've ever seen. And Randy Moss, when he was in Oakland, was held to a mere 1,000-yard season because the greatest receiver I've ever seen didn't have help at quarterback. What did Josh Gordon do for the Cleveland Browns while high?
Yep.
With which quarterback?
In just 14 games. Mike will get the quarterbacks. 14 games he played. He had 87 catches, 1,646 yards. He had 9 touchdowns. He averaged 19 yards per reception on that team in 14 games.
Think about what we're saying there.
Jason Campbell started 9 games, played in 9 games that season. Brandon Whedon played in 8 games that season. Brian Hoyer played in 3 games. It's a mishmash of
that's
a poo-poo platter.
That is a poo-poo platter, my friend. Guillermo, put it on the poll. are those three names, Jason Campbell, Brandon Whedon, and Brian Hoyer,
yes.
a poo-poo platter
of quarterbacks.
And by the way, he hadn't played since 2014. Dropped him into the NFL against one of the better cornerbacks in the league in Hayward. 4 for 85.
So good.
Like, what is happening there? Again, I will say this again for those of you, because Josh Gordon has been on the interview tour of honesty. He was high during all of this.
That was his first NFL game sober, according to him, on Sunday. That was his first time playing sober.
That might be one of the most amazing athletic feats in the history of sports, what you just described, doing for that team and those quarterbacks, those numbers.
Yep.
While high.
14 games, not even an entire
14
season.
games! 14 games!
I mean, if those are your quarterbacks, you can understand why you played an entire season high.
Yes, well, that too. Yeah. And left the league. I left the league to just be with the high. Wait a minute, I could be with just the high and not the quarterbacks?
Hoyer or the high?
All right. I'm going to go high.
Don Batard.
See how quick he is at slithering around
I'm
things?
good.
Like, yeah, you are good. You are a master liar.
Stugats.
Like, you are a genius liar. You are like the Einstein of liars.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
What's been my greatest mistake today? Was it calling Lane Kiffin Les Miles while introducing him? Or, I mean, I've done a number of things wrong today.
The Adam Thielen, Case Keenum one.
Right?
I'm not certain which one.
There's only two.
Those are the two Hall of Famers today?
Yeah, you've had several mistakes today, but those are the only two worth considering.
Guillermo, can you put this on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show? Do you know what Case Keenum's face looks like? Because here's what happened to me. Because I know what Thielen looks like, although I will admit that I just learned this year what Thielen looks like. I didn't learn until this year. He looks a little bit haggard. He doesn't look the part, and I'm not saying that because he's a white guy at wide receiver. I'm saying on top of that, his face doesn't exactly give off the height of white athleticism.
You can't argue that you know what Adam Thielen looks like when you were looking at an image of him and you thought it was Case Keenum.
I mean, nobody cares about the details on this, and all of it's excuse making. Look, the bottom line is that it happened on the radio, and it's unforgivable. I said Randy Moss was interviewing Case Keenum when he was interviewing Adam Thielen. However, the reason that happened is because I'm looking at a television that's above me that's got lights in front of it, and so I'm not seeing the full faces of people. What I'm telling you is I saw half a fat face. Nothing matters.
That's not going to work.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
I've got
sorry,
lights.
man.
But look, Stugats, you're the only one who's in here with me, so you're the one who can say, you can speak to, there are lights in here that would prevent me from seeing someone's full face.
There are. I'm seeing Max Kellerman just fine on the TV.
I'm seeing the bottom half of Max Kellerman's face. Regardless, I don't know. I don't have a good grip on what Case Keenum looks like anyway. I just assumed if it was an undersized fat guy and his face looked fat, that would be Case Keenum.
I am looking at both their faces right now. This is the first time I've seen either of their two faces. And in a vacuum, I would say that Thielen looks more like the career backup quarterback, and Keenum actually looks like the stud white wide receiver.
They're also very similar. They look actually pretty similar. And now that I'm looking at Max Kellerman looks similar to Thielen and to Case Keenum.
He certainly does from my angle.
He really does.
From my angle, he certainly does.
He's the Venn diagram in between.
So, speaking of video that is funny, did you see what Odell Beckham did on his Instagram page that got 1,600,000 views?
No, what'd he do?
He put up a video. And as far as I can tell, Mike, you help me because you know I'm not social media savvy because I'm becoming more and more fossilized every day. But I don't think there are any other comments by Odell Beckham. He let the videos speak for themselves. And what was spliced together was a bunch of reactions of Tom Brady getting emotional and yelling at people or getting mad, spliced in with a bunch of Odell Beckham doing the same thing.
I'm watching it now.
And it is a point, and it's a little bit of a piece of art. Now, some things are missing. Some context is missing, right? I mean, you don't see Tom Brady lifting his leg up and urinating in the end zone, and you don't see Tom Brady, fighting or getting engaged to a kicking net.
I also don't see 5 rings on Beckham's hand.
He did put a caption. Goat emoji. Chasin'. Go chasin'.
Okay. But it was interesting to see them all spliced together because Tom Brady behaves like Odell Beckham when he gets emotional. And one of the differences is actually more of an indictment of Brady because in none of these videos do you see Odell Beckham yelling at an authority figure. And that's all you see Brady doing. Brady is yelling at his offensive coordinator in half of these videos, screaming at him, just getting in his face, baring his teeth.
I don't care what he says about goat chasing. He is clearly making a point there. He is clearly pointing out.
It's a good point.
Yes, it's a great point.
It is a good point, and we talk about this all the time. It's all over the place in sports where stuff like that gets confused. Because you can't look at the video that Odell Beckham put up and say there's any difference in the way those two human beings are behaving about things. Like, it's actually artfully done. When Odell Beckham is swinging a right arm angry, it morphs into Tom Brady doing the same thing. But Tom Brady's the only one there yelling at coaches.
Well, I was going to say, actually, you can. There is a big difference. Beckham is yelling at just air, space, people, fans, teammates, himself. Brady is consistently yelling at his coaches.
It's a truly great editing job done by Odell Beckham.
Yes.
All this time off, he's perfected his
right, because it is
MacBook Pro.
I've often said documentaries aren't truth. They're just the documentarian's version of the truth. This was absolutely spliced to make Odell Beckham look good and Tom Brady look bad. If Tom Brady were making this video, Tom Brady would put all the things in of him yelling and then splice it in with the worst Odell Beckham behavior, which is Odell Beckham, just doing extraordinarily selfish things. This is good, artful work by documentarian Odell Beckham to skew some of the truth by showing you convenient facts.
Put the Josh Norman game up there, which, by the way, Josh Norman, Odell Beckham, that was Crabtree-Talib before Crabtree-Talib, and that was the talking point on a Wednesday. Oh, how could this be football?
Did anyone get suspended?
No, I don't think so. But we were talking like it should.
Well, but do you think that Talib?
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Guillermo, can you put it on the poll? I heard you the first time. Can you put it on the poll, Guillermo?
This is my football.
Who is that? Is that an old woman clutching her purse? What is that? What does the old woman look like? Is it Barbara Bush? It's Barbara Bush, isn't it? It's Barbara Bush, and she is aghast. And what is she aghast by? What happened?
Whoa! Like Josh Norman's fighting with Odell Beckham.
He stole his chain again. No. Okay. So, but was that fight? I asked this question genuinely. Talib versus Crabtree. Guillermo put it on the poll. Yes or no? Was that bad for football? Yes or no?
Bad that they stopped it.
I don't think it's really bad for football. This is the space that the NFL is trafficking in, and it's a difficult one as a marketing thing. But, Stugatz, as you see today, Roger Goodell is getting a $40 million contract, $40 million per year contract extension, 5 years, $200 million reportedly. And he's doing so in the middle of all of this stuff that has eaten up the news stream. And so I ask you again, is this bad for the league? Is the idea that they had an incredibly violent game Monday night? I do think that this, as a marketing strategy,
I don't think it's bad for the league.
There's some brilliance in it.
Would we have talked about that Monday night game if that stuff didn't happen?
There is some brilliance in the idea of here we have this incredibly dangerous, violent thing. It's like a futuristic game show. It feels like, what was that Richard Dawson, Running Man, where Richard Dawson was, it feels like a futuristic game show, where management, Jerry Jones and Goodell and everyone else, they are all making all of this money, and they're wringing their hands at the idea of this league is out of control. We've got to control all of these guys who are kneeling and fighting and getting concussed. We got to control all of this. Is it so bad that it looks like it's out of control? Is it really so bad? Like, we'll punish it, and we'll look like we're in control of Crabtree and Talib because you can't have more violence. We've already got our choreographed violence.
Act like we care about it.
Yeah, but it's not like if you got these guys in an honest moment and said, if you got the owners in a room, all of them in a room, and said, this fight right here Is this bad for the league? Do you think Jerry Jones is saying yes? Jerry Jones.
Absolutely not. I don't think any of them are.
Well, some of them might just because they
really.
Well, I mean, the Rooney family, our beloved football. I think you heard from them earlier in the segment.
No, Don Le Batard.
I feel terrible.
Here's the thing with you. You don't actually feel terrible.
I didn't feel a thing, to be honest with you. I don't really care.
I know. You announcing I feel terrible is just your way to move on to the next terrible thing you're going to do.
Stugats.
They're just words, and words mean nothing to you.
They don't mean nothing. His words mean nothing.
Words are just transitions to your next lie.
That's so right. They're not words. They are bridges to lies.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
So, you may be wondering to yourself, Chris Sims, why does this show fall in love with him? How did that happen? Well, it happened because he announced that Blake Bortles was the 70th best quarterback in professional football. And then we got to thinking, got to talking to him, and we signed a 70-day contract where Chris Sims is going to be on with us for 70 days, an NFL analyst for Bleacher Report and the host of the Sims and Lefko podcast. And he has so far ranked the quarterbacks thusly. He gave us a bonus, 71, Cody Kessler, 70, Blake Bortles. Number 69 is Austin Davis. Number 68 is T.J. Yates. Cardale Jones is number 67. And now, is everybody ready?
Yeah,
everybody's ready.
I think we are.
Yes,
Chris Sims.
Hold on.
From, all right, everybody slow down.
I have to write it down.
Everyone, Chris Sims from Bleacher Report and the host of the Sims and Lefko podcast says the 66th best quarterback in professional football is...
Dun, 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 dun. It's Brandon Weeden of the Tennessee Titans.
Wow, man.
All right.
Wow.
Number 66.
Weeden, better than Bortles.
Brandon Weeden. All right. This is very exciting. I can't wait to do it for 65 more days. Mike Ryan, play for Chris Sims, please, the sound of Aaron Rodgers telling us that story about Kyle Vanden Bosch. And Sims, while he's telling this story, you think of a story like this in your past. I hope you have one like this.
Kyle was a very good player for a number of years. He used to wear red contacts, which was he didn't need because he was already teetered on the edge of insanity. So I remember, one time he got me, and he was kind of, he wasn't getting off me. He's like, "I got you good." I'm like, "You hit me in the head, though." He goes, "No way." I was like, "No, I think it's going to be a penalty." He goes, "No." I got you. Also, another play involving him, we ran a 7-man protection. He looped from his end, and our fullback kind of blasted him a little bit. He wasn't looking, so Kyle thought it was a cheap shot. And instead of getting up and chasing the play down, he chased the fullback down and ended up running a route out to the right. It was like, "I'll kill you. I'll kill you."
That's what I want from my football. I want everyone to be Vanden Bosch. Like, let it go. Let him wear eye patches and swing those spike balls from sticks.
It's the perfect name, Vanden Bosch, and it's great storytelling by Rodgers.
All right, so Sims, do you have anything like that? Anybody who chased you around and just seemed kind of crazy?
Well, listen, there's a lot of crazy guys. Vanden Bosch, I played with him. I was on that Tennessee Titans team, and even as a backup quarterback, he wore those red contacts during practice, and I was scared of him. So I'll say that much. I mean, nobody wanted to mess with like that crazy guy in the locker room. So if he wanted to turn the stereo down, nobody argued when he turned the music down. My stories, my two things have jumped out to me just about crazy guys on the field. Like Ray Lewis, for one, is one of them, because Ray Lewis, we're playing them Week 1, 2006 season, and, I'm nervous in the huddle. I'm sitting there going, damn, it's the Baltimore Ravens, it's Ed Reed, and it's Haloti Ngata, and it's Suggs, and it's Ray Lewis, and I look over at the other side, and we're sitting at a TV timeout, and Ray Lewis is over there dancing and singing. And I'm just going, damn, he's not scared at all. And he's yelling football time. And a few plays into the game, I realize he's got a great beat on our offense. He's took it all season he studied it hard. Oh, no. And he's calling out run plays before I'm saying set hike, and he's calling them where they're going. And I'm literally in like blue 85, blue 80, and he's going, "They're running right here," and he's pointing exactly where we're running. And I'm going, damn, poor Michael Pittman. Say it, Hut, and I'm just sticking out my head going, I hope he's okay.
Poor Pittman.
No audible, just here, Pittman.
Sorry, I don't
No
need...
audible. We were too deep into the snap count at that point, and we got it offside. So Michael Pittman, he lifted a lot of weights, and that came in handy for those collisions.
All right, very good. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Sims. Excellent work by you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, be good, guys. See ya.
See ya.
I mean, we're going to get a story like that every time.
Did he say he had two of those?
Yeah, we'll get that other one. Remind me to get the other one tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, he did say
Unless he's still there.
Unless he's there, we can get the other one right now. Let's
Are you
see.
still there, Sims?
I'm here.
You had
I'm
two.
here.
Yeah, you had two, right?
Yeah, my other guy, it was Zach Thomas. Of course, you know him from Miami, but he was the same way. Zach was like a quarterback on the defense. He would call out plays just like Ray Lewis, and it's really the same story, but so many times I'd be underneath the center in preseason games or a regular season game in 2005, and he'd call out the play before I gave the ball to the running back, and I just used to go, damn, it sucks to be a running back. Right. Holy cow, you got to deal with that, but it wasn't as good as that first story. That was it.
Okay, all right, we shouldn't have brought you back.
Yes.
All right, first time we regret doing that. All right, very good. We should have just let you go. Thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Stugatz, I want to get back to what it is that we were talking about.
Dan, I need Kyle Vandenbosch on this show immediately.
We need to get Kyle Vandenbosch on the show. You can't play those stories enough. But when I tell you, look, I want you to think of football instead of this pure thing draped in the American flag. I want you to think of it as a combination of Mad Max and Gladiator. And now, I want to tell you that Kyle Vandenbosch is roaming the premises. And so you've got the artful Aaron Rodgers being a majestic artist and court jester running away from the insanely mad Kyle Vandenbosch. And them arguing at the bottom of a pile where I got you, but you hit me in the head. No, I didn't. Like, I want football to be that. And sometimes you're going to have Crabtree and Talib get into a fight. And sometimes Josh Norman and Des Bryant. It's like in Mad Max. Sometimes somebody's going to throw a boomerang, not know how to use it. They're going to raise their hand up in the air, and 4 fingers are going to be lost. And all the other guys are going to, all the other Vandenbosches are going to grab their bellies and laugh that that guy lost 4 fingers. Why? Because what we're watching on Sunday is totally insane.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.